Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Hockey Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Garrison McDaniel, and we got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be starting off by talking about the Rangers and the Hurricanes, as the Rangers were able to finally beat the Hurricanes in that Game 6 to eliminate them from the Stanley Cup playoffs. Next, we will talk about the late night matchup between the Oilers and the Canucks. After that, we will dive into the offseason after that, how to shake it up a bit, because there was news about Craig Berube being hired by the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we're going to be talking about Craig Berube and how that hire can affect the Toronto Maple Leafs and how it can affect that core moving forward. After that, I will be previewing the pivotal matchup between the Oilers and the Canucks as they have Game 6 on Saturday. And then to wrap up the show, as we have been doing for all the hockey podcasts, as the playoffs keep going forward. With the time that we're at, it usually is perfect to talk about the games that are currently going on. So that will be what we're doing in our fifth segment. So with all of that being said, and without further ado, we're going to get right into this Carolina Hurricanes and New York Rangers Game 6. But before I do that, I'll remind you guys that we have this tips and donations link. If you have any questions, any comments, anything you want me to read, or if you just want to support the GSMC Sports Network, GSMC Podcast Network, use the link that you see on the screen now at gsmcpodcast.net for any of your questions, comments, or concerns for the channel, for our podcasters, or anything like that. But with that being said, we're going to get right into this New York Rangers Carolina Hurricanes series. Rangers finish off the Canes in 6. They are finally able to win this series. All throughout the series, you felt like New York was the better team. The Rangers have the stronger core, have the better top 6, have the better defenseman, have the by far better goaltender, as we've seen throughout this entire series. Although Kochetkov did good in his starts and Anderson did not lose the Hurricanes this series, so to speak. But it really was the New York Rangers overpowering the Carolina Hurricanes in this one. Their top 6 was fantastic the entire series, and it was an exclamation point in that third period for the New York Rangers. Chris Kreider's natural hat trick to be able to pull that one off. Another name that I really want to talk about a little bit, Keandre Miller. Man, this guy, defenseman that really wasn't on a lot of people's radars, but has to be now. Keandre Miller was amazing. The entire series was amazing, the entire postseason. And he's been playing a lot better than what I thought the production from Keandre Miller was going to look like. And of course, the name that really you have to highlight when you're talking about the New York Rangers in these playoffs, you have to talk about Igor Shesterkin. Man, this guy played absolutely insane. He was a brick in the wall. Maybe not so much in the last 3 games, but the entire series he's been playing amazing. The entire series he's been their number one goaltender, been the guy really there holding his weight. So Igor Shesterkin, probably, as I talked about on my Wednesday podcast, probably your Conn Smythe winner so far for the New York Rangers, although you're getting excellent production out of your entire top 6. So we'll get right into the game breakdown, and then after that, I do want to talk a little bit about the Carolina Hurricanes and what their future kind of looks like with a little watered down core is what it looks like to be in Carolina. But the game, first off, Carolina Hurricanes were the first ones to score in this one. They jumped out to an early lead. Martin Necas gets a great pass, or gives a great pass, and it was a great forecheck from the Canes, and that would led to the offensive zone turnover, led to a shot out in front, and it was Jordan Martinook who gave him the pass from behind the net. And yeah, he does no mistake, buries it. They go up 1-0. And then it's Seth Jarvis on the power play. I talked about him so much. This is in the second period now. Seth Jarvis on the power play, finally getting a point in this series. I had him as a very key player in the series. They were getting great production out of this guy. Last year, they're getting great production out of this guy for the first series of this postseason when they played the New York Islanders. He really helped them. I believe he had 9 points. No, not 9 points. He led the team in points. I think he had 7 points in 5 games in that series, and then nothing this entire Rangers series. So seeing him get on the scorecard, I really thought that they had this one, because he was the name that I was looking to produce so much, with Sebastian Aho doing so much of the scoring. We're looking at the lower line guys. That's Jarvis, maybe Jesper Kokoniemi, Martin Necas. He was able to score in this one. Brady Shea. But it wasn't meant to be for the Carolina Hurricanes in this one. The crowd, though, at PNC Arena was very loud. If you want to look in this picture, there's still a lot of guys. After their team get eliminated, there's still so many people in the crowd here. That's a very promising sign when you're the Carolina Hurricanes, the amount of fans that are behind them at PNC Arena. And then in the second period, Vincent Trocheck was able to cut the lead that the Carolina Hurricanes had in half. It was Panarin gave him a shot from on the point. He was on the blue line. He just sends a puck on. Vincent Trocheck with a deflection. It goes in the back of the net. That's not Freddie Anderson's fault, but it's a goal nonetheless. And Trocheck cuts the lead in half, but Sebastian Aho pretty much right after that was able to reclaim that lead. He gets assists from Andrei Svechnikov, Jakub Slavin. This was Jakub Slavin's only second assist in the entire postseason. He needed to produce way more than he did. He just was not able to get on that score sheet like we really expected from him. In this game, a keynote in this game, there was so many posts hit by both teams, really, so it didn't really affect the game. But, man, I have it in my notes. Have to have been 10 posts hit in this game so far, and that was like midway through the second, or a little bit late in the second was when I wrote that down. But, man, a lot of posts were hit in this game. A lot of scoring chances missed from those opportunities, too. And then in the third period, as the New York Rangers are down 3-1, it looks bleak. They have 13 minutes left, and here comes the onslaught. Chris Kreider, first goal. Zibanejad sends a shot on net. Chris Kreider just jams home the rebound, just pushing it past Freddie Anderson. Just his stick overpowers Freddie Anderson's skate blade, and it goes in the back of the net. Pretty much right after that, about 4 minutes after that, Chris Kreider ties it on the power play. Another deflection goal. Panarin gets his second assist of the day. This was another Artemi Panarin just sending the puck on net, and it finds a stick, and it's Chris Kreider's stick. And then Chris Kreider finishes off his natural hat trick with a Rangers comeback, 4-3. This one, he finds the puck in the just in the slot, and he sends it 5-hole on Freddie Anderson. He really willed the Rangers in the third to beat the Hurricanes, and it was great to see that individual effort. If you are a New York Rangers fan, of course the Carolina Hurricanes fans don't share that same sentiment. And then an empty net goal finishes the Rangers off, finishes this game 5-3. And the New York Rangers are now going on to await the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. Whoever wins that series, as I do have the scores up, it is currently 1-1. Panthers are on a power play right now, with 22 seconds left on the power play. 1-1, 4 minutes left in the third period. I'll keep you guys up to date as much as I keep myself up to date on that game. But yeah, in this series, the New York Rangers top six was really what did it for them. That's what I expect to carry them throughout this entire postseason. When you get a top six of Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Artemi Panarin, Alexis Lafreniere, I'm blanking on a lot of names here, but let me tell you, it is a very, very impressive top six. You have Vincent Trocheck in that, and then you also have Chris Kreider, not Chris Kreider. Jack Roslovic was playing on the second line. Sometimes it's Lafreniere, sometimes it's Wenberg playing on that second line. So, yeah, this New York Rangers top six is very skilled, can score at will, and is scary to any team. I would say the Florida Panthers match up the best with the New York Rangers. I think their top six can definitely match this New York Rangers top six, and I think the physicality that they're getting from Alexander Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk is going to be very pivotal when you're talking about a matchup with the Rangers. We saw the Rangers bleed in this series. You saw that they were human. You saw that they can lose a game in this series with the Canes' attempt at a comeback here. Of course, they started this postseason 7-0. There has never been a team to start a postseason 7-0 to not have gone on to at least play in the Cup final. So the New York Rangers have their path laid out for them. They know they have one more series. They need to win only 4 more games, and they're in the Stanley Cup final for the first time for the New York Rangers. Since 2014 when they lost to the Los Angeles Kings. Of course, the New York Rangers are not the best historically team, but they have always been very talented. The last cup that they have won was in 1994, that Marc Messier Cup. This is This isn't the exact same core, but this is a very similar core to kind of what you saw in that 1994 team. Very skilled forwards, a lot of very skilled forwards. You have a great defenseman on the blue line, and you're getting spectacular goaltending out of Igor Shesterkin here. So I think the New York Rangers have a very easy path. They see what's in front of them. For the New York Rangers, that's what their future holds. On the other side of this one, the Carolina Hurricanes, I would be a little bit worried if I were them. You're losing a lot in free agency. I believe you're losing 3 of your top 6 defensemen. You're losing Teuvo Teravainen, who is a UFA right now. Seth Jarvis, you're going to need to re-sign as an RFA. If I'm not mistaken, they only have, I think they have $23 million in cap room to make all those moves without re-signing anybody so far. So the Carolina Hurricanes are going to have a very different core than what you saw on the ice today. Every year they kind of go through a transformation of their middle six. It's kind of been a revolving door since they really became prominent in 2020 or 2019. So it's going to be interesting to see what this team does in the offseason, how it looks, what this future holds for the Carolina Hurricanes. But I think that is a story for a pod on another day. I think I'll talk about all of the losing teams in this postseason on a different podcast. Talk about what their future holds, what they should be doing in the offseason, as the offseason is closer than we really think it is, as the Stanley Cup, we're getting into the East or the conference finals, and after that, just one more series left, and then the NHL season is over. We'll crown a winner, we'll give out the awards, and then it's right into the offseason where a lot of these teams are going to make a lot of moves. I think the Carolina Hurricanes might be the biggest mover in this offseason. You're losing Jake Ensel. You're losing a lot of guys on this team. So it's going to be a very different core. It's going to have to be a better core. It's going to have to be an improvement because the New York Rangers are going to run it back pretty similar. The Florida Panthers have a core, and they're sticking to them. The Boston Bruins have been good as long as I've been alive. You have up-and-coming teams, the Devils, the Senators in this Eastern Conference. The Blue Jackets have the best prospect pool. They could be contending here soon. You have a lot of teams that can make noise. The Toronto Maple Leafs, I haven't even mentioned them. We'll talk about them in the third segment, how good of a team that can be. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what the Carolina Hurricanes do in this offseason. I don't think that they go into rebuild mode. I don't think that they have the picks to go into rebuild mode. They have all of their picks for the next 3 drafts, but they don't have anybody else's. They're not going to trade anybody because everybody that they have right now is a UFA or RFA. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I can't wait to see what the Carolina Hurricanes do in this offseason. And with that being said, we're going to take our first break of the night here. And when I get back, we'll be talking about the Western Conference final game, or Western Conference game from last night, that Edmonton Oilers dropping another one to the Vancouver Canucks.